Thank you for that brief moment of silence. My name is Jaden.
And my name is Tavion.
Today we will be informing you about the rights and responsibilities of the horrible incident known as Chernobyl.
The Unit 4 RMBK nuclear reactor was built to supply power to a good portion of Ukraine. These nuclear reactors use nuclear fission, which is the splitting of uranium atoms to create heat that boils water to turn it into steam and spin turbines that then creates electricity. The coolant keeps excess heat from realizing it and transfers into a heat exchanger. Other methods of regulating the core are to remove and insert rods that absorb neutrons. And on April 26, 1986, the worst nuclear incident in the history of mankind struck. The incident started with the reactor being shut down for routine maintenance. The aim of this maintenance was to determine whether the cooling of the core would continue to be ensured in the event of a loss of power or if it would overheat.
These types of tests had been run in the previous years, but the power delivered from the running down turbine fell off too rapidly, so it was decided to repeat the test again using the new voltage regulators that had been developed. Unfortunately, this test was carried out without a proper exchange of information and coordination between the team in charge of the test and the personnel in charge of the safety of the nuclear reactor.
Therefore, inadequate safety precautions were used in the test program, and the operating personnel were not alerted to the nuclear safety implications of the electrical test and its potential danger. Because of the lack of safety measures, the reactor went out of control, pressure built up, more steam was released, and it unfortunately caused the reactor to explode and release radiation into the surrounding environment, including two other countries known as the Russian Federation and Belarus.
This triggered hundreds of thousands of people to evacuate and thousands of people to be poisoned with radioactive material from the explosion. Around 30 people initially died when the incident occurred. Others were diagnosed with leukemia and different types of cancers.
Now, here's a quick video further explaining exactly what Chernobyl was.
Yet, Ukraine, April 26, 1986. Soviet engineers are tasked with conducting a safety test of Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Unfortunately, the third shift engineers on duty have not been trained for the procedure. When the test supervisor fails to follow protocol, an uncontrolled nuclear chain reaction is set into motion. The reactor explodes, showering nearly 40,000 square miles with radioactive contamination. Firemen and safety staff work tirelessly to put out the reactor core fire that burns for 9 days. Many are exposed to lethal doses of radiation in less than a minute. By December 1986, Reactor 4 is entombed in a protective sarcophagus to reduce the spread of radioactive contamination. In 2017, an additional structure is built over the sarcophagus and the reactor to aid in the cleanup effort that is scheduled for completion in 2065.
Now that we have covered the context of this nuclear meltdown, here are the rights and responsibilities that have been displayed back when this incident occurred.
The rights and responsibilities that were displayed during the Chernobyl meltdown were human rights, social responsibilities, legal responsibilities, and ethical responsibilities.
Human rights are rights that are applied to every single human individual, no matter who governs them. They are universal, so they are recognized all over the world, regardless of nationality, ethnicity, gender, or identities or affiliations. They are also inalienable, or cannot be taken away, surrendered, withdrawn, or transferred except in specific situations.
Social rights are rights that establish a basic standard of living and well-being for all members of society. These rights include a right to education, safe housing, and access to social services like health care, access to food, and care for the children and elderly.
Social responsibilities are the dedication to treat others with utmost respect and kindness and to help those in times of need. Social responsibilities include volunteering in the community or developing organizations to support others.
Ethical responsibilities are the drive to make morally right decisions even when influenced by personal values and principles rather than being told to by law. It is making decisions between the right and the wrong.
Legal responsibilities are the duty to maintain order and justice within a society. They include obeying the law, paying taxes, and respecting the rights of others. By following the laws, societies can function and the rights of others are protected.
A legal responsibility that was displayed during Chernobyl was when, in the aftermath of the incident, laws were put in place to ensure that this incident could never occur again. just like the Chernobyl law. It stated that people who were affected by the incident should receive financial assistance, housing for those who had to relocate, employment opportunities, medication, and more. Other legal responsibilities are when the cleanup crew for Chernobyl, also known as the liquidators, started to clean up and reduce casualties at Chernobyl.
Human rights were violated during Chernobyl when the explosion happened and many people got sick and died from the radiation. The government did little to ensure the safety of these victims, and because some workers were not trained sufficiently, it caused the death of more than 30 people.
The social rights of the people who were affected by this nuclear incident were displayed when people began to get very sick. This utterly violates victims' social rights because they have the right to a healthy environment, which has been stated numerous times in other social rights, and that was violated because of the Chernobyl incident, when people began to get very sick because of the radiation coming from the nuclear reactors.
Social rights included officials in different organizations such as the IAEA or the International Atomic Energy Agency, the World Health Organization or the WHO, and even the US gave out doses of medicine and supplies to those who had radiation poisoning and to lower sickness levels in affected people. Radiation symptoms varied depending on the doses of radiation you had. For example, if you had leukemia, you experienced easy bleeding or bruising, fever or chills, and more. They also cut down trees to prevent the spread of radiation throughout the forest and onto other areas.
Social responsibilities were displayed when people all around the area volunteered to take in orphans, people who lost their homes when they had to evacuate, and some people also gave out food and supplies to those in need.
Ethical responsibilities were shown when people volunteered to supply shelter for those in need, and those who were affected by Chernobyl were even supported by different people from all around the world. Although, the Soviet Union also tried to cover up what happened at Chernobyl, which indicated that they would rather choose a morally wrong approach to the situation. Not informing the rest of the world about this incident could have put many lives at risk, and it could have prevented awareness of incidents like this one from spreading, causing more nuclear reactors to malfunction.
Although this event may still be in the past, this event still takes a toll on us today. Believe it or not, Chernobyl will not meet the standard criteria for being habitable by humans for the next 20,000 years. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were subjected to nuclear weapons back in World War II, and even they are habitable now.
Officials ended up putting a sarcophagus over Chernobyl on May 20th, 1986 by the French consortium Navarca.
Chernobyl exposed ethical issues about the rights of citizens to be informed about the environmental hazards that they lived in and the responsibility of the government to protect public health. It also shows how secrecy, neglect, and the lack of accountability exacerbated the consequences for the affected populations and global community. And this concludes all of the rights and responsibilities shown by the Chernobyl meltdown.